Spiritual possession has been around since the times of ancient Mesopotamia, and even the Holy Bible itself holds accounts of Jesus sending demons from those who were possessed into swine. The 17th century saw a boom in this phenomenon, often considered the golden age of demonic possession. Witchcraft was often found to be the cause of the demonic infestation, and those whom were caught entering a pact with the devil were summarily dealt with. The golden age has long since passed, but tales of demons and possession, while not as common in the Western world, are not completely extinct. Now, what if witchcraft could be commodified? An organization casting curses and granting boons to whomever could afford their price. What would that look like in today's age?
Well, Dead Letter Department is one spin on that idea. Developed and published by Mike Monroe and Belief Engine, Dead Letter Department is a game unlike any other I've played. It is incredibly indie in the sense that it tried something different and interesting, and I'm here for it. In Dead Letter Department, you play as a data conversion operator whose job it is to help lost letters get to their final destination by typing in a correct and readable address that the computer program Okrai can recognize. However, what do I always say? It's never that easy. Whether by design or incompetence, the system sometimes highlights sections that aren't addresses, and sometimes the contents within are, well, odd, confusing, and often disturbing. There's something sinister about this particular job, and we can only hope to come out of it still in control of our own fate. With that said, let's dive into Dead Letter Department. Welcome to your crappy apartment. You have a crappy bed and a slightly less crappy couch, and no stove. There's no decoration or even mess, nothing to indicate anyone is even actually living here aside from the boxes stacked against the wall. But then, this is a stopgap apartment, a place to stay until you can find something, somewhere, better. The idea was never to stay here long. Until then, your job with Okrai Inc. will have to pay the rent here. So begins a new night heading towards the job you picked up a while back. The same day you arrived in the city. Your official title is Data Conversion Operator, a fancy name for just a warm body that types up all the junk computers still can't read. It's not remotely glamorous, and it's the night shift, but it's been fairly stable and easy. Exactly what you're looking for right now. Though, this new location really is out in the middle of nowhere. As mentioned before, as a data conversion operator, you are responsible for translating names and addresses on letters that have been lost in the mail. Normally, it's a pretty boring job, but it's easy, and it's a paycheck. However, you've been moved from the office to a new location. A lonesome, empty room, in an empty building, in the middle of nowhere. They say it's because they're getting new office spaces ready, but it's a bit odd that you're so isolated. Oh well. A job's a job, and you have rent due. Sitting at the lone computer, you can see that the system has highlighted what it can't read and needs you to type out in order for it to recognize where the letter in question needs to go. Some aren't too difficult, having only tears or minor damage done, just enough for the computer software not to be able to recognize it. While others were penned by someone with some truly abysmal handwriting, or worse, cursive. Then there are some that are so incomprehensible due to damage or what has to be the visual representation of someone having a stroke that you'll need to rely on the auto-suggestion in order to figure it out. And others just won't have anything at all. At least for those, you can just pass them on. Each night you'll get a set of cues with a certain amount that need to be done. This work can be very tiring for the fingers and the eyes. But it's an easy enough job to get through, and what could be considered mind-numbing work if it wasn't for the oddities that pass through your queue from time to time. The system doesn't always highlight just names and addresses. Sometimes it seems to glitch out and highlight random sections of text, including entire paragraphs of postcards and letters. And some of what's written is truly weird. Some notable inclusions you can possibly encounter on the first day are a description of chronophobia on a postcard meant for someone in Colorado Springs, Chronophobia is the fear of time, typically experienced as a fear of the future or a fear of growing old. It's a type of anxiety disorder characterized by an irrational and persistent fear of the passage of time. People with chronophobia may have a constant sense of urgency, feeling like the need to rush through tasks or make decisions quickly in order to avoid wasting time. They may also experience physical symptoms such as sweating, increased heart rate, and difficulty breathing when confronted with situations that remind them of the passage of time. There's also a package associated with the Ministry of Home Affairs, which I'm pretty sure is referring to Nepal due to this little symbol right here. Try sending that one to yourself. You might find something interesting. And last but not least, a letter with a short quote about R. Williams, who became the first person known to be killed by a robot when a factory robot's arm struck him in the head. Kinda weird that any of these little tidbits would be on a postcard, much less an actual letter. But maybe the senders are just quirky? With your queue being done and the sun slowly rising, it's time to go home, sleep, and do this all over again tomorrow. The workday over, you shield your eyes briefly as you glance outside the subway window towards the rising sun. The train is now active and bustling with people, calmly meditating in the morning collective idle state, going to and about their jobs. This city was the first time you rode in a big subway. It was quietly exciting to be in such a large moving contraption with total strangers. You've become accustomed to it now, but still, a thought encroaches, thinking about getting used to being in that isolated room, and how you're never going to. Rise and shine, today's another day. On this morning you have a new letter on your counter. You're here to help make Okrai a reality through a process called supervised learning. Here's how it works. Okrai will always attempt to process the mail first before you see it. And when it comes across information it can't read or understand, that's where you'll step in and respond to what it wants to have corrected. If Okrai still isn't able to understand what you typed in, or has reason to believe error was made, it may flag letters for reprocessing by you. We look forward to seeing how Okrai will develop further. With your help, we'll be able to give the Postal Service a chance to catch up on intense demands, and maybe take a break. So you're basically training the computer program to do a better job at identifying what it needs to identify. However, it seems like this program has a lot of bugs left to work out, so I don't think your job is going anywhere anytime soon. When taking your usual walk down the corridor to exit the building, the buzzing of the fluorescent lights are louder than usual. And you happen to briefly notice a shadow pass by that large vented window. However, when you look inside, no one's there. It was about a month ago when you started this odd little job. Very basic work, just manually type in whatever the automated optical character recognition software failed to scan. Usually consists of mail that never got somewhere because someone had the handwriting skills of a fish. Mail that has traveled from place to place endlessly, unsure where it's even going anymore. No place to call home, not without intervention. They say it's automated, but the system really makes some weird choices about what it wants translated sometimes. Not terribly surprising, the company's software doesn't appear very modern by any means. Sitting down at your computer, it's more of the same today, except, well, maybe it's not. There are quite a few more weird letters and oddities delivered in your queue today. Aside from the six letters addressed to the same person, i.e. Marianne Barrios, there's also a few that make the senders seem like they have a few screws loose. Please don't tell anyone I sent you this. Hello? How are you doing? Are you okay? Are you okay? I need to know if you're okay. This one in particular seems like the sender is really going through it. Can you see it? 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 All I know, Ray, is I don't want to see you anymore. Yikes. Surprisingly, you'll get one addressed to Outsider, and the address, that's yours. If you've taken the time to check the letter on your kitchen counter, it gives you your own address. It's randomized for each playthrough, and this one was generated for this playthrough. Seems to match. There is one more to mention. A big envelope labeled Non habes mori ut phantasma fiat, which I believe is Latin for You do not have to die to become a ghost. If you want to commit a little mail fraud, you can send it to yourself and get a bit more background information on a particular name you've been seeing quite often. While there were a few oddities on the first day, this day's been kinda weird. You've still gotten more normal mail than crazy outliers, but something feels off. It feels like this is just the beginning of, well, an interesting time to be sure. As you do the math, it's becoming clear you're coming up short on rent again. This is already after several late due payments. The job's pay is per item typed up, so you contacted your manager asking for more mail to process. Doing some overtime tomorrow, even in that small room, should be fine. The beginning of the third day is a rough one, and it's the beginning of the downward spiral. Your sleep is now being affected by the stress of worrying over rent. There's a sound you always hear as you drift off into sleep, like something is trying to crawl inside. And now you can hear a loud grinding noise, like a faulty AC unit vibrating in the walls, as well as noticing a strange odor coming from your boxes, which is odd since there shouldn't be anything in there giving off a smell. There's yet another new notice on the counter today as well, which mentions that abusing the system for personal interest wouldn't be tolerated, and to be wary of any spyware tampering. Seems like someone has been sending mail that isn't theirs to their own address. Did they notice what you did? Or is this just a general notice? Oh well, don't let that stop you from sending yourself interesting mail. Just don't go overboard. Or do, and see what happens. Before you head out the door for work, you notice an envelope on the floor. It's the one that was addressed to you. Inside is empty except for the smell of a mineral or iron, smoke, and chalk. Best not to hang on to this. And your walk down the hallway is yet again different. It's darker, more foreboding. The sounds of life and living are gone, with the sound of running water and a child crying being the only remnants of human activity left. You've been wondering about work and where exactly is everyone else. They've been moving everyone around lately. You ended up at this weird warehouse location, as if this is some sort of practical joke, initiation rite, or a mistake. Despite asking about it several times, your manager warmly confirms it's all correct. A temporary solution while they are relocating the main office. They had to get a bit creative. It's a pity. The old office was rather nice. At any rate, the solitude has been good for going through your thoughts at least. Back at work, the computer screen is looking a little more messed up than usual, which seems to follow the trend of changes today. It does not bode well. And if you thought the letters from yesterday were weird, well, they just got more unhinged today. There are, of course, the informational postcards and random bits of mail, which include a true accounting of Mary Hardy Reeser of St. Petersburg, Florida, a woman whose fiery death was surrounded by mystery and even controversially reported as a case of spontaneous human combustion. Reeser was found reduced to ashes among the burned remains of her chair. Despite being a landmark spontaneous human combustion case in which every possible tool of modern scientific investigation was used, the incident remains unsolved. Police Chief J. Richard commented, "As far as logical explanations go, this is one of those things that just couldn't have happened, but it did." A very odd occurrence of a lawyer by the name of Thornton Jones, whom did something quite unfortunate in his sleep. Thornton Jones, a lawyer in Bangor, Wales, woke up to find that he had his throat slit. Motioning for a paper and pencil, he wrote, "I dreamt that I had done it. I awoke to find it true, and died 80 minutes later." He had done it himself while unconscious. And the unfortunate fate of Norwegian diver Truls Hellevik. Truls Hellevik, a Norwegian diver, was explosively dismembered in a diving bell accident at the North Sea. He was exposed to an 8-atmosphere change in air pressure, which instantaneously forced his body through a 60-centimeter diameter opening. Then there's the truly disturbing ones. Some telling you to
go home.
Asking,
"Do you feel safe?"
A chilling burnt picture with the phrase,
People will come from miles to watch you burn.
And whatever the hell this is.
I can feel my skin crawling, my eyelids shiver and fold back. The tendons on my eyes are shearing. I take a moment to recognize this ecstasy, but am simultaneously afraid doing so will disrupt its beauty. As my bones snap, I both fear and hope I may never feel this good again.
Those aren't the only disturbing letters you'll receive on this day, as others include deciphering phrases that say,
No souls without use.
and
Let it go.
at this point it's starting to feel a bit targeted. I don't think it's normal to be getting this amount of very unusual letters. However, before you can see just how far this rabbit hole goes today, the power shuts off, ending your day early. I don't need to tell you that this is bad, but it's bad. You needed the overtime to afford that stupid shoebox, and now you've gotten even less hours than normal, which means less pay. Also, did you see anything weird? Maybe the stress is causing you to hallucinate. Something about this work building feels like a tomb slowly sinking into the earth. Even the electricity is now struggling to reach it anymore, it seems. It's bad enough the item queue is throttled, but you didn't even get to finish it today. Realization washes over that your jaw is hurting from gritting your teeth. You try and relax it, while the new projections to make rent swim through your brain. You take a deep breath and stare out the window at the rising sun again, while trying to rub the tension out of those hands. I don't think you can live in denial any longer. Something is happening to you. You begin seeing faint swirls or circles in your vision, and hearing unexplainable sounds behind that sealed door. And your sleep has never been worse. You woke up in the middle of your sleep earlier. The sun had already gone down. You were whispering something in your slumber, as if you were having a conversation with someone else in the room. But as your eyes hastily focused, you realized no one was there. You even begin hallucinating muffled voices from your couch. Sometimes when you lie on this couch, you can hear some sort of muffled talking, presumably from your neighbors below. But when you try putting your head to the ground itself, it goes away. But oh, that's not the worst part. The worst part is the breathing. As soon as you enter the hallway and begin making your way as normal, you can hear it. This heavy breathing just behind your ear. And no matter how fast you walk, you can't put any distance between you and it. Can you feel the breath grazing your neck? Or is that just your imagination? Your manager emailed you earlier, apologizing for the technical issues. You were compensated slightly for your miscue, but it still wasn't as much as you would have made had you just done a regular day. Apparently, the issue has been solved and shouldn't happen again. You'll be moving into the new location within the next week or so anyways, they say. The time frame keeps changing. Really though, why don't they just have us do this remotely from home? It's getting ridiculous. So you reach out to an old coworker that moved on to a different data entry job to see if they're hiring. In the meantime, just try and get through this mess and pay the rent. When entering the room, you may notice a change. There's now a security camera in the corner of the room. Huh. Is it lack of trust or something more nefarious? Not to mention, the insane letters outnumber the normal ones today by a fair margin. You are informed about the SL-1 incident that happened in 1961, where the stationary low-power reactor number 1, located at the National Reactor Testing Station in Idaho, suffered an accidental explosion that took the lives of 3 plant operators and is known as the only reactor incident in the U.S. to have caused immediate deaths. The reactor instantly went critical, which as a result flash-boiled the water surrounding it. The force of the expanding steam lifted the entire reactor into the air. While airborne, the radioactive steam escaped, spraying the entire room. The steam was so hot that one person died instantly from severe burns, and left all the deceased operators' bodies so radioactive that they were buried in lead coffin. And something called Morse-Woltman condition. Morse-Woltman condition, more commonly known as stiff person syndrome, is a rare neurological disorder characterized by progressive rigidity, stiffness, and spasms in the limbs of the body, often resulting in deformities. Spasms sometimes occur in response to environmental stimuli such as voluntary or passive movements, and unexpected auditory stimulation, changes in emotion, or stress can also be regular contributors. Due to its rarity, studying this condition in great detail has proven to be challenging. A common complaint among patients is the loss of control over their own bodies, describing they feel they are in a constant battle to prevent external influences from affecting them. But mostly, you'll be getting a lot of these. I hesitate to even call them letters.
Is it worth the cost?
They seem to be purposefully shown to you in particular. I can't imagine, even with the amount of mail circulating, that there are this many unhinged documents lying around.
Fine.
You also have to wonder just how jank the software is to be highlighting this stuff.
Call into the void.
At this point, it feels like it's done more out of malice than incompetence. Something bad is happening. And just when you think you've gotten used to the crazy, you start seeing visions of a door, and then you're suddenly on a timer. Where did that come from? Has management implemented a new timer system? Is this a cruel joke? Is this the manifestation of chronophobia? Does it matter? You get the feeling that you don't want to know what happens if you run out of time. And this is when the system chooses to give you actual paragraphs to type out. It's doing this on purpose. You know it. Luckily, you finish with 3 minutes to spare. This isn't gonna work. You stew in your thoughts with a glazed, broken stare out the window. Maybe if you skip eating for the rest of the week, you could still be able to make late rent. You've been thinking a lot about going back home lately. You could try to make it all pan out, living there for the rest of your life, probably never seeing anything new. You probably could even afford a house in your lifetime if you moved back. Is it better to put up with the problems one already knows well, or to venture out and constantly stumble into new ones? You feel a tinge in the back of your skull, a fear that this has been your one and only shot, that you wouldn't be strong enough to make another effort to move. But you shove the thought deep down inside and swallow it, while seeing if you can still make this work. Everything is getting worse. Your vision, the foul odor, the auditory hallucinations. It's so much that it's hard to concentrate. It could be the stress affecting you. After all, financial hardship is one of the most stressful situations someone can experience. But no, there's definitely something different about this. Something is wrong. It happened again, except this time you weren't talking in your sleep. You woke up and your hands were doing something. It's hard to explain, but they were in a strange configuration, positioned not like anything you've ever done yourself before. Like a weird prayer? A new, distressing horror awaits your walk to the subway. The hallway is smoky or foggy, and you're inundated with rapid, repeated knocking on all the apartment doors you pass. And you have to wonder, is something wrong with you? Is this what it feels like to lose your mind? You emailed earlier asking about being able to work from home, especially after the power issues. The manager responded saying that the operating system the software runs on is unique to the company. Something that was custom made a long time ago and only a few people know how to really maintain it. But it still works well. They didn't say it directly, but you got the impression that they like it this way, so people can't fool around on the internet or play solitaire when they should be working. The cell phone signal in all the buildings you've been in is surprisingly bad too. The manager calmly assures you though that the issue has been addressed and not to worry. Whatever, you just need to keep rent paid while you find something better. Especially as this job has been wrecking your hands lately. Part of you moved to the city to meet new people and experience new things. Not to be stuck inside this little pitiful room in some factory alone and taking orders from a box. Your experience today is, well, you're in for one hell of a ride. Subtlety is foregone in favor of a direct attack on your sanity. While in previous days you could have written off all the weird stuff going on, today you really can't ignore it. While typing paragraphs about sin eaters, The sin eater consumes in order to spiritually take on the sins of a deceased person. They are believed to absorb the sins of the individual, thus absolving the person's soul. Sin eaters, as a consequence, carry the sins of all people whose sins they have consumed. Abhorred by villagers as a thing unclean, the sin eater cuts off from all social intercourse and lives in a remote place alone. Those who chanced to meet a sin eater avoided them as they would a leper. And having your text field littered with these mostly indecipherable phrases.
The future is burning.
You'll be subjected to seeing faces in the monitor.
She lived there angry. She died there angry.
Entities standing just behind the desk in the dark. And seeing the screen doing its best to obfuscate your vision, making the time segment even more difficult.
I'm getting close to hell now.
Sometime during all of this, you'll be transported to that door you saw yesterday. Only this time, you aren't just seeing it, you're gonna have to go through it. You'll eventually find yourself on the precipice of a hellish red pit, and you will fall. Is this job really worth all this? Do you even have a choice?
You can't hold on forever.
Sitting on the subway, and you can feel it, moving them back and forth. Your fingers creaking loudly. The circular swirls have all but consumed your vision. Everything is loud. So much sound. Does a quiet moment even exist for you anymore? Your kitchen light breaks, and for some reason, there's a security camera facing your bed. And despite being exhausted, you don't even remember sleeping. It's like a part of you just turned off last night, and before you knew it, you were back here. You've been doing things unconsciously in your sleep. Last night, you woke up at one point to find yourself standing in front of this door. There are scratch marks on it. Your fingers are raw to the nerves. Despair encroaches and threatens to take all hope you once had. It's difficult to even approach these boxes now. If only you could just stop and hide away from the world. What if you just crawled inside this couch and never worried about anything else ever again? This time the hallway falls to complete darkness, with the only visible thing being the walls you're hugging in order to navigate to the exit. You feel like you'll never see the light again. Finally, some good news arrives. You heard back from your old coworker inviting you to join them at their new data entry gig. This one is mostly for typing up scripts and closed captioning for television and videos. Television? Sounds sort of fanciful. Certainly more interesting than the random postcards. You agreed to it and are quickly scheduled for an interview tomorrow. They're swamped, so you might even be able to start the day after if it all goes well. It doesn't feel fast enough. While your head is full of noise, the room is almost barren. You don't even have a chair to sit in anymore. You may notice an impressive number of sticky notes with rough circles drawn on them now stuck to your computer. It's the same shape you see in your hazed out vision. This is a bit of an indicator on just how screwed you are. Technically, you would see them gradually accumulate through the days on a normal playthrough, but for this video, I have footage of 2 different playthroughs going on for 2 different endings, so that's why their appearance is so abrupt. Anywho, back to the task at hand. Today is gonna be, well, it's gonna be, as this demon battles for control of your body. Yes, I think we can finally recognize that the demonic has been playing a part in this all along, and it's gonna make today hell for you. After all, it wants to evoke as much negative emotion as possible in order to make you more susceptible to possession. Most of the letters you'll receive today are meant to be cumbersome and stressful. Whether they are hard to decipher or just stupid long, all are there to cramp your fingers and induce anxiety. You truly are getting closer to hell. After a handful of letters, you'll be taken to that place, the pit, in the dark, and you'll be put on a timer. Your monitor will begin to breathe as you type out phrases like, "Tonight, I watched the light leave their eyes." And then, as you write about someone eating up to 20 kilograms of flesh, you'll see multiple hands gripping the monitor. You're right there. It's time. All you need to do is type the words. Submit. You submit. Your body and soul, here and now, and forever, to whatever may come for it. You are now no longer in control of your own body. You are merely a silent observer riding passenger in this vessel you no longer own. The demon within is now calling the shots, and it has plans. Once again on the subway, pondering what to even do now. Bending the fingers causes them to creak and vibrate so loudly it claims the attention of the elderly lady sitting nearby. She gets up and moves to another seat further away. The fingers can now only rest comfortably in a bizarre configuration of them twisting over and around one another. There's no way an interview tomorrow could happen with them like this.
You might not be used to them like this, but don't worry. We can still accomplish a lot. There are so many things you interact with daily that can shape your behavior. Whether it's waiting in line due to traffic, experiencing an emotional high from a movie, or simply the way you use your computer. Little things, little influences that add up, that can shape the way you react about the world around you. A little mesmerizing glowing rectangle telling you how to feel about the world around you. Not to worry, I'll take care of that from now on. I admire your tolerance. We're going to accomplish a lot together.
That's it, you've been possessed by a demon. In hindsight, the symptoms were obvious. The evidence was right there, smacking you in the face. From that second day on, you were slowly being worn down and made vulnerable enough for the demon to take over. All of those disturbing letters were meant to make you more susceptible to possession. The power going out just when you really needed that overtime, done on purpose to increase your stress. The whole reason why you were working in that room all by yourself was because you were the target. Much easier to carry out something like this when you don't have witnesses getting in the way. Possession doesn't just happen overnight, it's a process, a battle, and there are signs and signals that this battle is taking place. Seeing shadows, smelling unusual or foul odors, hearing and seeing things, these are all classic demonic possession symptoms. And you have more than that to boot. For instance, in many movies about possessions and exorcisms, rigid, unnatural positions are common for the afflicted to contort themselves in. My all-time favorite, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, which drew inspiration from the real-life Annalise Michael case, featured this a great deal throughout the film. Those, of course, are probably exaggerated for entertainment purposes. However, there is some basis for it in real life. There have been many cases where body rigidity played a part. However, it must be said that many of these possession cases could have just been someone suffering from seizures or epilepsy. But back to the topic at hand. Recall that through the game, the data conversion operator spoke about how their hands clenched unconsciously, how they were held in a weird prayer position in their sleep, and at the end, how they were only comfortable crossed and folded over themselves. At first, you could explain it away as the hazards of the job. Even you yourself probably experienced aching, cramping hands and fingers after typing constantly for hours on end, especially during the time segments when speed is key. But I think it's quite obvious that isn't wholly the reason by the end of it. There is no question or doubt that you have been possessed. It's been made quite clear. Rigidity is but the tip of the iceberg. Hallucinating faces, going into fugue states, hearing knocking, and heavy breathing, all of these have been featured in a book or film, whether about real-life accounts or Hollywood bombasticism. Now, I'm not here to debate whether possession in any form is real or not. In truth, I think many cases could be explained by not only mental and physical health issues, but the sheer power our mind holds to make things happen. However, perhaps not everything can be explained by purely mundane reasons. After all, Christianity doesn't hold a monopoly on possession. It's just the one a lot of us in the West are most familiar with, whether that is due to the dominant religion or a great deal of entertainment media focusing on this particular flavor. Maybe there are things that exist that we still don't quite understand, and in that unknowing is where the fear lies. Because what do humans fear more than what they know? I think this game did an excellent job putting you in the shoes of someone down on their luck and succumbing to the machinations of someone else's gain, being the selected target of demonic forces and watching as things go from bad to worst to horrible. There were times while playing this game that I genuinely felt tense and anxious, especially during the breathing parts. Something about hearing heavy breathing just behind you, and no matter how fast you walk, you never put any distance between you and it. Ugh, good stuff. However, let me add that it doesn't have to end this way. If you want to fight this fate forced upon you, try sending the letters addressed to Data Conversion Operator to your own address. You'll find someone, or something, willing to help you out, and learn that the company you work for is a farce. Data conversion is only what they use to cover up the fact that they indeed work in the field of curses and boons, and you were chosen as a sacrifice for someone else's gain. Although, even with the better outcome, I'm not so sure you're completely free. I enjoyed my time with this game, and I fully give it a recommend to those who like odd indie gems. You can get the demo on both Steam and itch.io, however, as far as I'm aware, the full game is only available on Steam. I want to thank all of you who have made it this far. You are the GOAT. I also want to thank all the Patreon and YouTube membership GOATs. Isha, Michael Hamilton, Pearl9907, Mascabre, In Water Ending, and Imp Dragon 9190. You all are amazing, and you really do help keep this channel going. I appreciate all of you for taking the time out of your day to give this a watch, and I'll see you again on The Midnight Goat.